Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video on the channel. What we have for you today is our preview video going into Game Week 26. Going to take a review look at how my team did in Game Week 25 and then talk team selection, captaincy options and transfer advice moving forward. I have made 3 free transfers already. There's a potential to make a 4th as well. So if it does help you out, please do subscribe, like the video. Honestly, the support has been awesome. We are a small channel trying to grow. We really do appreciate it. So let's take a look at how my team did in Game Week 25. And in terms of the keepers, it was okay. Raya got a clean sheet and a bonus point, was 1 save away from getting another point as well. But I'm never going to complain when my keeper gets 7 points. In defence, it was a little bit more hit and miss. We did start Bednarek, bench Lewis Hall, which was the right call by a point. And Trent did do well as well. Was a little bit lucky in his first game because he got a clean sheet and got taken off before Liverpool conceded, so he got those points. And then he scored 5 minutes before he got taken off against Aston Villa last night. So that is some really, not lucky points, but I would say fortunate points, because a lot of people had him in, and although it's a disappointment that he gets taken off early, in this instance, it did actually work out for our team. In terms of midfield, it really is just Salah putting everyone on his back and carrying them through my FPL season. 40 points is incredible again, but it doesn't really matter whether Salah gets 2 points or 40 points in terms of rank increase, because everyone owns him, especially everyone in the top mill will own Salah. I think you'd struggle to find a team within that range who doesn't, and everyone will also be captaining him. So in terms of rank rise and decrease, Salah's almost irrelevant right now until there starts to be some different captaincy options. I did bring Cliver in, who got an assist, and we're always grateful for assist points because every other midfielder did blank. McAllister did get a goal in the double game week 24, but in game week 25 didn't do anything. So we are going to talk about transfers later, but in terms of rank rise, the only player that really benefited me was Mateta, because everyone in the top mill will have Salah, likely to have Palmer, very likely to have Trent, very likely to have Isak. Not many people own Mateta, and I think he's got 7 goals in his last 5 games, which is awesome. At 7% owned, he's been a real, bright spot in my team. The only one, really. Overall, we got 85 points, and it was a red arrow of about 80k. I think we've gone down about 180k in the last 2 game weeks, but I'm not too fussed about it because I haven't used any chips in that time. I've still got my assistant manager to use. I didn't overload in Villa players or Everton players for that double game week and then have to take them all out again because teams like Aston Villa blank in game week 29. And so I think I'm in a good place where I will make those points back by using those chips and not having to use more free transfers to get those unnecessary players back out, or some managers will have used free transfers to get them in and then feel the pressure to use points hits to get them out again, or keep them for too long and then not get the players they want and maybe score less points that way. So I am confident with my strategy moving forward, and I'm not too down about getting a red arrow because I was expecting to use a red arrow when loads of other managers use their chips and you don't. The chances are they're going to score more points than you, so it's not a shock to me. I do also think that you're not playing against 11 million players anymore. You're playing against FPL players around your rank. So within the top mill, I know loads of people used their chips this week. So to stay within that sort of bracket is absolutely fine, and hopefully we can make a push in the next few game weeks and beyond. So in terms of fixtures for this game week and captaincy, it really is just Salah. I know he's playing Man City away, but he's so highly owned at the moment and there's no need to take a risk otherwise. You could possibly go for Mbuemo or Vissa away at Leicester City, but I just don't think that that's worth it at all. And I think that other players that you own, maybe you own Arsenal players at home to West Ham, attacking wise, it's not great. You're not going to captain Arsenal defender. Newcastle at home to Nottingham Forest. That's not the easiest fixture for Newcastle or Forest. You wouldn't reckon Isak or Chris Wood would get more than a goal there. They're kind of the same for Aston Villa and Chelsea as well. If you've got Watkins or Palmer, that's maybe a better fixture to captain attackers in. But Haaland's also not playing at the moment. Didn't play in the Champions League this week. So he's not necessarily a captainable player as well. So I think there's no need to shoehorn in another option. I think just go for Salah and think again next week in case there might be someone else, which is a bit boring, but unfortunately that's just where we're at in FPL. And if you're playing competitively, then you really do need to captain Salah. If you want to take some risks, then I would maybe go for a Palmer or a Watkins, but it's a bit slim pickings around there. So my team for this game week doesn't look too bad. This is before I made the 3 transfers that we're going to talk about in a second. The main issue is, and we talked about it in depth with the wildcard video that I released earlier in the game week, go check it out if you've not seen it already, is that blank game week 29 is coming up and I don't want to use a free hit in there. I think in terms of just a bit of side free hit discussion, I think you can really benefit a lot more using it in a double game week because players just have twice as many opportunities to score points. You've also got more players to choose from, so you could even choose good single game week players in that week as well to get in who can score you more points. When you use your free hit in a blank, not only is the player pool smaller, you're also not getting them from all the good teams. So we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, Villa and Palace blanking in 29. Well, there's a high chance that you want Liverpool and Newcastle, players in your team to score your points when you use your free hit. So having those good teams out just reduces the opportunities to score points, and you'll probably get players in who likely will just score you 2 points. And if you did that in a double, well, at least it'd get you 4 points, or you'd be able to choose a good single game week player. So at the moment, I've got Hall, Trent, McAllister, Salah, Isak and Mateta all blanking in game week 29. So that's 6 players. So players like McAllister, I'm thinking of moving out. I've also got Ndai, who is injured and was just a short-term pick that I do also want out of my team. So in terms of free transfers, I did have 4 free transfers and 0.2 million in the bank. I have upgraded Ndai to Matthias Cunha. Now, like we say, Ndai had to come out anyway. His fixtures after the next 4 do not look good for Everton anyway, and he's not playing, which makes him just not an option. Now, there was a chance to sell him for a cheap striker, but when I was looking at really cheap striking options, just isn't anybody that can score you points. Matthias Cunha also plays Southampton in game week 29, which is a captainable fixture, really. If you look at the teams and the players who you could captain in game week 29, there's not really many better than him. So whilst I could have moved to another striker in the meantime and then gone to Matthias Cunha, I thought I'd save myself a future free transfer, get him in now. I don't hate the Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton fixtures beforehand, and Wolves are that sort of team that everyone was on Cunha earlier in the season. Now he's kind of gone a bit cold. He has actually got 2 goals in his last 2 games and does get a lot of bonus points. I think he's got over 30 bonus points this season, so he's averaging more than a bonus point a game, which is awesome for your striker. Now, in order to fund that, I did have to move McAllister to Nwaneri. So when we talk about cheap strikers, and there wasn't any, at 4.5 million, Nwaneri is a fantastic player. Now, I know the fixtures don't look that good on paper, but West Ham at home is fine. Nottingham Forest away is also okay. They're a little bit inconsistent. Man United away is something I'm not bothered about as well. And the same for Chelsea at home. They're not playing very well either. So whilst on the fixture ticker, it looks a lot of red and grey, they're actually not red and grey fixtures. McAllister plays Man City and Newcastle, which isn't ideal, and that blank in 29. And he's just someone that I don't want long term. He's someone I brought in for the 2 doubles. He did do well in 24, not so well in 25, and then we just move on from him. So saving that money there allowed me to upgrade Ndai to Cunha. So the other transfer I've made is Trent to Gabriel, and it's a similar sort of situation to McAllister. We said Trent is getting subbed off quite early. He's not necessarily keeping the clean sheets, or Liverpool as a team aren't keeping the clean sheets. And someone like Gabriel, we talked about it in the wildcard video, he is playing for a team in Arsenal who really do just sort of have that experience of a season running as a squad, and I do feel are more likely to just shut up shop, to kind of, win those games 1 and 2-0, get those clean sheets, and all 4 of West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Man United and Chelsea have conceded from set pieces recently. So earlier in the season, everyone was so high on Gabriel and wanted him in. I do think he is a player who will start standing out for me. It does also leave me with 1.5 million in the bank, so I could get an assistant manager in at any point. Now I'm likely just to save that until game week 32, 33, maybe use it in a double myself at this point. But my team, as it stands now, I think looks a lot better. We can get 10 players out there for blank game week 29 no matter what, and we've also got some free transfers that will build up in that time as well. One thing I am considering is potentially using my bench boost this game week. Now the reason for that is you've got to use it at some game week. I'm benching someone like Bruno Fernandes, who, although Man United aren't playing well, Bruno is the sort of player that can score you points. He's on penalties, might be playing further forward now that Amad Diallo's injured. And the only real thing that's stopping me playing my bench boost is Fabianski in net. Now, if he was playing, even though he's got Arsenal away, I'd be more tempted to use it. I do still have 1 free transfer in the bank, and I could use that to upgrade Fabianski to literally anybody in goal, and then use that as a way of getting in more points on my bench. Now there is a chance I use that and then my keeper just gets me 2 points anyway, and I'm not necessarily expecting loads of points from Bednarek and Face as well, but they do both have home games against Brighton and Brentford, who aren't that good away from home. So it's not completely out of the realms of possibilities that they get clean sheets. It's super unlikely, and I'm not trying to just make excuses to try and use my bench boost, but I do also just kind of want it out of the way. And my rule for using a bench boost is when you have your starting 11, you look at your bench players. If you'd have been happy to start your bench players as well, then just use your bench boost. It's not going to be used in a double for me because I've got the assistant manager chip that takes up 3 game weeks, and then I've also talked about using my free hit in a double as well. And I can wildcard out of it. So if I did use a free transfer on Fabianski, I can use a wildcard in the near future to just reinvent my team as it is. So I'm not super likely to use it, but then don't be surprised next game week when I say that I have used it and I've swapped out Fabianski for someone else. So I'll do a little bit more research in terms of who players like Bednarek and Face play in the next few weeks, and if there is any better fixtures for them. If there is, I'll probably just wait and then maybe use a free transfer on Fabianski and then another free transfer on upgrading someone like Face to another defender, and then just play it there and then wildcard soon out of that, so I'm not using more free transfers to disrupt my team. But I do think a bench boost is pretty low ceiling sort of chip, and I don't want to be using loads of free transfers just to swap around my bench. But because I do have 1.5 mil in the bank, and that's happened naturally just through making the transfers I wanted, it does lend itself to using that a little bit sooner in the future. So let me know what you think, if you've got any opinions on bench boost and whether I should use it. Let me know if you've got any questions as well. Go check out the latest wildcard video. Thank you so much for listening. Honestly, we do really appreciate all the support. Hopefully you've had a good game week, and I will see you in the next one.